The days following the thwarted sabotage were tense, yet filled with cautious optimism. Commander Elias Kane found himself walking the corridors of the Arcturus orbital station with a sense of purpose that was sharper than ever. The events of the past week had proven that humans could rise to the challenges of interstellar diplomacy, not through sheer force but through intelligence, adaptability, and courage. It was a lesson the Xylarians, particularly Princess Lyriath, had observed closely. Despite the calm that had returned, Elias knew that vigilance remained crucial. The rogue faction within the Xylarian Empire was not entirely exposed. Some members could still act from the shadows. He had spent hours analyzing patterns, consulting with Lyriath, and cross-checking security protocols. Each new discovery brought small victories, yet the possibility of unforeseen danger lingered in the back of his mind. Princess Lyriath approached him one morning, her expression serene, but her eyes alive with that same quiet intelligence he had come to respect. "Commander, I believe it is time to address the lingering questions," she said softly. "The time has come for clarity." Elias looked at her, sensing the gravity in her tone. "You mean about the whisper and how you knew my name?" She inclined her head. "Precisely. You have wondered, and it is only fair that you understand." They moved to a small observation chamber overlooking the swirling storms of Arcturus Prime. The planet's glowing bands reflected in Lyriath's eyes, giving her an ethereal quality that seemed almost otherworldly. "When I first saw you," she began, her voice calm and measured, "I did not simply hear your name. I felt it. Xylarians possess what we call psychic resonance, a subtle ability to sense emotional imprints left by individuals. These imprints are strongest when someone acts with courage, conviction, or a sense of duty. Your actions, Commander, left a resonance that I recognized immediately." Elias listened intently, the last pieces of the puzzle falling into place. "So it wasn't magic or technology. It was your ability to perceive character." Lyriath nodded. "Yes, it is not unique to me alone, but it is rare among my people. I recognized your name because your presence, your choices, your courage, your adaptability left an impression that could not be ignored. That is why I whispered it, not as a trick, but as recognition." Elias exhaled slowly, a mixture of relief and awe washing over him. "I see. Then, all along, you have been observing not just humans, but me in particular." "Indeed," she said, her expression softening slightly. "Observation is not mere curiosity. It is understanding, and understanding is the first step toward trust." Elias nodded, absorbing the meaning. Humanity had always survived against the odds by understanding, adapting, and persevering. Now he saw that these same qualities had impressed even the most advanced alien intelligence. He felt a renewed sense of pride, not arrogance, but the quiet satisfaction of being seen for who he truly was. Their conversation was interrupted by an urgent alert. The station's security systems detected movement near one of the secondary storage facilities, an area containing sensitive technology that the rogue faction had previously targeted. Elias and Lyriath exchanged a brief glance, understanding instantly that the final phase of the threat was unfolding. They moved quickly but cautiously. Elias led the way through the labyrinthine corridors, relying on both instinct and careful observation. Lyriath remained close, her awareness heightened, guiding them through the station's hidden sensors and anticipating possible obstacles. As they approached the facility, Elias could see the signs of tampering. Locks had been bypassed, panels removed, and energy fluctuations indicated that someone was attempting to access the vault's contents. A group of rogue Xylarians, led by the same mid-ranking official they had confronted previously, were at work. Their intent was clear: seize advanced technology and destabilize the station, leaving humans vulnerable and the delegation's mission in jeopardy. Elias assessed the situation quickly. The rogues were skilled but not infallible. Using subtle distractions and calculated maneuvers, he began to neutralize the threat. Lyriath acted in tandem, guiding security forces to intercept the intruders while subtly influencing the outcome through her psychic resonance. The confrontation was tense. Elias moved with precision, disarming devices and coordinating with security units, while Lyriath provided guidance and insight that turned the tide in their favor. Each move required trust, both in one another and in the abilities each brought to the table. Humans relied on adaptability and courage, Xylarians on perception and strategy. Together, they formed an unexpectedly formidable team. As the final rogue surrendered, Elias allowed himself a brief moment to exhale. The threat had been neutralized, the technology was safe, and the rogue faction's influence had been exposed. He turned to Lyriath, feeling a surge of gratitude. "You were remarkable," he said quietly. "I could not have anticipated every move, but together we succeeded." Lyriath's eyes held a faint smile. "And you, Commander, were steady, courageous, and observant. That is why I trusted you. That is why humanity's strength is so remarkable. It is not only in your technology, but in your mind and heart." The resolution brought more than safety. It brought understanding. Diplomats and officials on both sides had witnessed the cooperation, the courage, and the intelligence displayed by humans and Xylarians alike. Confidence in the human delegation grew, and relationships that had been tenuous began to solidify. Humanity's reputation, always defined by resilience and adaptability, was now strengthened in the eyes of a powerful alien civilization. Later, as the station quieted and the nebula beyond shimmered like scattered jewels, Lyriath and Elias spoke again, more openly than ever before. "Princess," Elias began, "after all that has happened, what now? Where do we go from here?" Lyriath regarded him thoughtful. "Now, Commander, humanity has proven itself as an equal, not only in courage and adaptability, but in judgment and action. Our alliance is stronger because of your presence. But there is still much to learn, much to explore, and many challenges ahead." Elias nodded, understanding the truth in her words. Humanity had not only survived the tests of the station, but had gained respect and trust through action, not just words. He realized that their partnership with the Xylarians was not merely political. It was a bridge between two species, built on understanding, trust, and mutual recognition. "Lyriath," he said softly, "thank you. Not just for your guidance, but for seeing me, for seeing humanity as it truly is." Her gaze softened, and for a moment the formalities of diplomacy seemed to fade. "You have earned it, Commander, and in doing so you have shown that humans are worthy partners in the galaxy. Courage, adaptability, and understanding. These qualities cannot be taught, but they can be recognized. That is why I knew your name." Elias felt a profound sense of closure and clarity. The mystery that had begun with a whispered name had led to understanding, alliance, and mutual respect. Humanity's place in the galaxy, while still challenging and fraught with uncertainty, was now recognized not by technology alone, but by the qualities that defined them at their core. As the orbital station settled into calm, Elias reflected on the events of the past days. Humans had faced an invisible threat, navigated complex political dynamics, and demonstrated the courage and intelligence that had always been the backbone of their species. And in doing so, they had not only secured their mission, but also forged a bond with an alien civilization that could shape the future of interstellar relations. Lyriath watched him with quiet satisfaction, knowing that the echoes she had sensed were not merely a result of fleeting actions, but of consistent character. Elias had proven that humans were not only survivors, but capable of extraordinary achievements when intelligence, courage, and adaptability were combined. The story, she knew, was far from over. The galaxy remained vast, full of unknowns and challenges that would test humanity and Xylarians alike. But for the first time, she felt certain that the foundation they had built together, trust, understanding, and mutual respect, would allow them to face whatever came next. Elias looked out at the nebula, the colors of the swirling clouds reflecting in his eyes. He thought of the whisper of his name, the challenges they had overcome, and the future that stretched across the stars. Humanity had been tested, and in doing so had proven itself not only capable, but remarkable. "Commander," Lyriath said softly, breaking the silence. "There is much ahead, but for now, rest. Learn from what has passed, and know that your actions have made a difference." Elias nodded, feeling the weight of her words and the quiet satisfaction of accomplishment. The galaxy was still vast, unpredictable, and full of mysteries. But he was ready. Humanity had not only survived, it had thrived, leaving its mark on distant civilizations and proving that courage, adaptability, and heart were as valuable as the most advanced technology. As night fell on Arcturus Prime, the stars beyond shimmered like scattered gems. Elias Kane and Princess Lyriath stood side by side, looking out at the vast expanse, knowing that this moment was both an ending and a beginning. Humanity had been recognized, its strengths acknowledged, and a bridge had been built between species. The future was uncertain, but it was full of promise, guided by courage, understanding, and the quiet power of recognition. And somewhere, in the quiet corridors of the station, the memory of a whispered name lingered, a reminder that sometimes even the smallest acknowledgement could spark events that changed the course of history. Elias Kane had faced the challenge, proven his worth, and in doing so, had shown the galaxy that humanity's strength lay not only in its ingenuity, but in its courage, heart, and adaptability. The orbital station floated silently in the nebula, a symbol of diplomacy, trust, and the promise of new beginnings. Humanity had arrived among the stars not by force alone, but by proving that even in the vastness of space, courage, understanding, and determination could leave an echo powerful enough to be felt across worlds. Elias felt a quiet smile form on his lips. The adventure was far from over. The galaxy was still full of mysteries. But for now, humanity had made its mark. And as long as humans faced the stars with courage and heart, they would continue to thrive, leaving echoes that would be remembered across time and space. Kale had always believed that fear was a tool. It could sharpen instincts, heighten senses, and make a person notice things they would otherwise miss. Yet standing before the glowing barrier of the Forbidden Vault, he realized that no preparation could have fully readied him for this. The shimmer of light was unlike anything he had ever seen, solid enough to block movement, yet faintly transparent, revealing only hints of the world beyond. Shapes moved inside, but they were strange, geometric, almost alive. The walls seemed to breathe, and the air itself vibrated with a faint hum, like a low whisper in a language he could not understand. Kale stepped closer, instinct guiding him. His hand brushed the surface of the light, and a sudden pulse shot through him. It was not painful. It was curious. The pulse seemed to probe his mind, assessing his intentions. He froze, feeling the energy sweep through him, like a tide brushing over the shore. For a moment he felt naked, every thought and memory passing through an invisible filter, measured by something far older than him. And then the barrier shifted. Not violently, but slowly, deliberately, as though it had accepted him. A passage opened, and Kyle took a deep breath, stepping inside. The vault was enormous, larger than the ruins had suggested. Its walls glowed with a soft blue light that pulsed in rhythm with an unseen heartbeat. Strange symbols lined the walls, shifting and rearranging themselves in patterns that were both beautiful and confusing. The air smelled faintly of ozone and metal, a scent that reminded him of a storm brewing back on Earth. He moved cautiously, listening. At first there was silence, but then faint sounds emerged. Clicks and hums, whispers and tones. Some of the sounds seemed almost musical, resonating with the energy in the walls. Cale realized that the vault was alive, in a sense. It responded to movement, to thought, to presence. Ahead, he saw the first trial. A floor panel lifted slightly, revealing a deep pit. Across the pit were platforms suspended in mid-air, glowing faintly. Some pulsed faster, some slower, almost like they were breathing. Kyle assessed the situation carefully. Alien explorers would likely have paused, calculating every step for hours. But humans had something different: instinct, courage, and adaptability. Cale stepped forward, timing his movements with the pulsing platforms. The platforms shifted under his feet, but he adapted quickly, leaping, balancing, moving with precision. When he reached the other side, he felt a thrill. The vault had tested him, and he had passed, not because of technology or brute force, but because of human intuition. He pressed on, moving deeper into the vault. The walls began to display more symbols, more patterns, and the air grew warmer, denser, almost breathable in a strange, unnatural way. Holographic images flickered into existence, scenes from the past, showing a civilization long gone. Cale watched as beings far more advanced than anyone in the Galactic Accord walked through corridors similar to these, manipulating energy with gestures and thought. Machines moved as if alive, responding to intention and will rather than commands. Cale's mind raced. These beings had created something far beyond technology. They had created a world where knowledge and energy were one, and now he was inside it. He paused at a junction where 3 paths diverged. Each path was marked by a symbol, each glowing with a different intensity. He hesitated, studying them carefully. Humans often relied on logic and reason, but sometimes instinct was the better guide. Cale placed his hand on the central symbol, and a soft voice echoed in his mind. Not words, but understanding. The vault communicated, not with language, but with thought, testing his ability to perceive patterns, to adapt. The path opened. Kyle stepped forward, deeper into the labyrinth. The trials grew more complex. Walls shifted like liquid metal, forming and reforming new paths. Floors rotated, tilting suddenly, forcing him to move with the precision of a dancer. Energy beams shot across rooms in unpredictable patterns, not to harm him, but to test his awareness and reflexes. He paused in a chamber that seemed different from the others. In the center was a pedestal, floating above the ground, glowing with a soft, golden light. On it rested a small object, crystalline and translucent. Kyle approached slowly. As he neared it, the object pulsed, sending waves of warmth through his body. Images filled his mind, landscapes of alien worlds, technologies beyond comprehension, histories of civilizations rising and falling. He understood without words that this object was a key, a fragment of knowledge left behind by the ancients. Suddenly, a ripple passed through the chamber. The light of the pedestal dimmed and shadows moved along the walls. Kyle stiffened. The vault was testing him again, assessing not only his skill but his intent. He reached for the object, and a wave of energy surged through him. It was not harmful. It was recognition. The vault acknowledged him as someone capable of understanding, of wielding the knowledge responsibly. Cale exhaled slowly, his heart racing. He had passed yet another test, but he knew the trials were far from over. The vault was designed to challenge, not to reward quickly. Each step forward brought him closer to knowledge, but also closer to dangers he could not yet comprehend. Meanwhile, outside the vault, Ilara had reached the outer rim of the ruins. Her scanning devices had detected Kale's presence, faint but unmistakable. Relief washed over her, tempered by worry. The energy patterns were unpredictable, shifting faster than her instruments could track. Whatever Kale was facing, it was alive, aware, and reactive. "Ilara," Tarek's voice crackled through her comm. "The readings, they are unlike anything we have ever seen. The energy is intelligent, responsive. Please, be careful." "I know," she whispered, adjusting her scanner. Her eyes narrowed. Kyle was inside, and she had to reach him before the vault made decisions she could not predict. Humans had a way of surprising even the most advanced civilizations. She had to trust that. Back inside, Kyle entered a new chamber. The walls were lined with what appeared to be screens, though they were more than simple displays. They showed simulations, possibilities, and potential outcomes. Kyle realized that the vault was not just testing physical skill. It was testing decision-making, morality, and perception. Each choice he made influenced the environment, shifting pathways, revealing new information. He paused before a set of images showing conflicts between civilizations, alliances formed and broken, technologies misused, lives lost. He understood instinctively that the vault was assessing not only what he could do, but what he would do. Humans were unpredictable, adaptable. Unlike other species, Kale realized, humans could combine intuition with creativity, risk-taking with strategy. This was why the vault responded to him. Hours passed. Kyle moved through the chambers, each more intricate than the last. The energy of the vault seemed to resonate with him, almost encouraging him forward. He began to notice subtle signs, patterns in the energy flows, slight shifts in the light, faint auditory cues that guided him. He adjusted his steps accordingly, trusting both instinct and intellect. Finally, he reached a chamber unlike the others. It was circular, the walls forming a perfect dome. In the center, a holographic map of the galaxy floated in mid-air, shimmering with lines of light tracing paths between stars. Kyle approached it cautiously. The vault had brought him here for a reason. The map pulsed as he moved closer, highlighting routes, systems, and nodes that seemed alive. As he studied it, Kyle understood a truth that sent a chill down his spine. The vault was not merely a repository of knowledge. It was a guide, a tool designed to influence the course of civilizations. And humans, with their adaptability, courage, and ingenuity, were the ones it had been waiting for. Suddenly, a soft sound echoed in the chamber, a hum, almost musical, almost like a heartbeat. Kale turned, and in the shadows at the edge of the dome, he saw a faint shimmer. The presence was familiar, yet different. The vault had sensed something else, someone else approaching. Ilara had reached the perimeter of the vault. Using a combination of stealth and ingenuity, she had avoided the energy barriers long enough to bring herself close. Her heart raced as she peered through the shimmering wall. Kyle was there, moving with precision and confidence, navigating the challenges of the vault with skill and courage. Relief and pride surged through her, tempered by the knowledge that the vault's tests were far from over. Kale glanced at the edge of the chamber and saw the faint shimmer of another presence. Recognition flared in his eyes. Humans always found each other, even in the most impossible situations. "Ilara," he whispered, though he knew she could not hear. The vault seemed to pause, acknowledging their connection, sensing their shared human determination. It pulsed gently, almost approvingly. The trials were not yet complete, but the presence of two humans, adaptable, courageous and collaborative, had shifted the balance. Kyle took a deep breath and moved forward, guided by instinct, intellect, and the subtle influence of the vault. Each step brought him closer to the heart of the ancient civilization's legacy, and each step reminded him that humans, no matter how small in the vast galaxy, had a unique strength: the ability to face the unknown, adapt, and endure. Outside, Ilara prepared to step into the vault herself, ready to face the trials, ready to find Kale, and ready to prove that humans were a species unlike any other. The Forbidden Vault awaited them both, alive with intelligence, testing not only skill but courage, morality, and the essence of what it meant to be human. Kale's pulse quickened, but he felt no fear. He had walked straight to the vault, knowing it would test him. And he was ready. Humans always were. Ilara stepped forward, her heart pounding, as the energy barrier shimmered and warped before her. Each step closer felt heavier than the last. But she forced herself onward, guided by the faint traces of Kale's presence inside the vault. The energy field pulsed softly, as if sensing her determination. It did not resist her. It studied her. Every human who entered this place was tested, and Ilara knew that the vault was no ordinary structure. It was alive, intelligent, and ancient. Once inside, the chamber swallowed her in a gentle glow, walls lined with shifting symbols that rearranged themselves as she walked. The air was warm, almost breathable in a strange, unnatural way, and faint hums echoed from the surfaces around her. She could feel the presence of Kale ahead, moving through the corridors with cautious confidence. "Ilara?" Kyle's voice was distant but clear. He had paused, scanning the room, as if he sensed someone new had entered the vault. Ilara responded with a nod, though he could not see her, and took careful steps forward. The vault was a maze, shifting in ways that made navigation nearly impossible. Corridors twisted, floors tilted, and walls shifted. Yet humans had an advantage that the aliens could not match: intuition combined with adaptability. Ilara moved deliberately, observing subtle patterns in the shifting walls, the hum of energy, and the faint glow of the symbols. Slowly, she pieced together a route that led her closer to Kyle. Meanwhile, Kale had reached a new chamber, larger than any he had seen before. In the center hovered a sphere of light, rotating slowly, lines of energy flowing across its surface. Surrounding it were multiple floating platforms, each pulsing at a slightly different rhythm. He could sense the energy reacting to his presence, almost as if it were alive. The challenge was clear. He needed to reach the sphere without triggering any of the energy barriers that could block or harm him. Kyle relied on instinct and observation. He studied the patterns, timing his movements with the pulsing platforms. Each step required balance, speed, and awareness, and the slightest hesitation could have thrown him off. Yet he pressed forward, adapting to every change as the vault shifted and reacted. Ilara moved cautiously, noticing the subtle vibrations of the floor as she entered a room filled with floating obstacles. The walls here were lined with screens, displaying countless scenarios of explorers failing the trials. It was overwhelming, but she focused on the patterns. Her human ability to adapt and improvise allowed her to navigate the obstacles that would have trapped a less flexible mind. She felt the vault observing her, analyzing her choices. Kale reached the sphere and placed his hands upon it. A surge of energy coursed through him, not painful, but enlightening. Visions flashed before his eyes, civilizations rising and falling, technologies harnessed for good and misused for harm, lessons left behind by a species far older than the Galactic Accord. The vault was teaching, testing, and preparing him all at once. He sensed movement behind him, a faint ripple in the energy. Ilara had entered the same chamber, her presence registering as a subtle pulse in the vault's awareness. Kyle turned slightly, and their eyes met across the room. Relief and recognition flared between them. The vault responded to their shared human presence, as if acknowledging that humans were unique, able to work together, adapt, and face challenges with creativity. "Elara," Kale whispered, his voice carrying both relief and caution. "Stay close. The vault. It tests everything: skill, intelligence, judgment. It's alive in a way we can't fully understand." Elara nodded, adjusting her scanning device to track the energy patterns. "I know," she replied softly. "But we have to move forward. Together." The vault shifted once more, walls retracted, and new pathways opened, revealing a series of challenges that required both physical skill and problem-solving. Platforms moved in complex rhythms, energy beams crossed the corridors in unpredictable patterns, and holographic symbols displayed puzzles that seemed to change as they were solved. Kyle and Elara worked in tandem. Kale led through instinctive leaps and calculated risks, while Elara analyzed the patterns and predicted the movements of the platforms. Their human synergy allowed them to navigate obstacles that might have defeated the most skilled alien explorers. Each success brought a subtle resonance from the vault, a quiet approval that seemed to guide them onward. As they entered a larger chamber, the air grew denser, charged with energy that made their skin tingle. In the center stood a structure resembling a tree, its branches composed of glowing circuits and streams of light. Kale and Elara approached cautiously, sensing that this was more than a physical challenge. It was a test of understanding, perception, and trust. The tree-like structure began to shift, presenting multiple paths simultaneously. Each path displayed visions, potential futures, consequences of decisions, and outcomes of actions. The vault was testing their ability to reason, anticipate, and make moral choices. Kyle glanced at Elara. "We have to choose together," he said. Elara studied the visions carefully. Each choice seemed to offer knowledge, but also carried risk. Choosing selfishly could lead to failure, while choosing wisely could advance them toward the heart of the vault. Their decision-making had to be instinctive yet considered, human traits that the vault appeared to value. They stepped onto the path that pulsed with golden light. As they moved, the walls responded, the platforms adjusted, and the energy flows aligned to their presence. It was a delicate dance, requiring constant awareness and coordination. Kale's experience with instinctive problem-solving complemented Elara's analytical approach perfectly. Hours seemed to pass as they navigated the challenges. They encountered rooms where gravity shifted unpredictably, forcing them to adapt their movements. They solved puzzles projected in mid-air, aligning symbols to unlock doors. They avoided energy traps that could have ended the trial in an instant. At every turn, the vault reacted to their choices, guiding them subtly while continuing to test their limits. Finally, they reached a chamber that radiated warmth and light. In its center hovered a crystalline object, larger than the ones Kale had seen earlier. The light within it shifted in colors he had never known, flowing like liquid fire and soft water at the same time. The object seemed to pulse with intelligence, as if aware of their presence and intent. Kyle approached cautiously, feeling the hum of energy in the air. This is it," he whispered. "The core of the vault, I think." Elara stepped forward beside him, her eyes wide with awe. "It's beautiful, and it feels alive." The vault responded to their combined presence, the light intensifying as if acknowledging two humans rather than one. Kale reached out, and as his fingers brushed the crystalline surface, a surge of understanding filled him. Knowledge flowed into his mind. Histories of civilizations, principles of energy manipulation, strategies for survival and growth. It was overwhelming, yet not painful. Elara reached out next, and the vault seemed to harmonize with her touch, merging their perceptions into a shared understanding. They realized that the vault was not just a repository of knowledge, it was a guide, a tool meant to elevate those who could comprehend its lessons and act with wisdom. Suddenly, the room shifted again. Symbols appeared in the air, forming patterns that spelled out a warning. Knowledge without responsibility could lead to destruction. Kale and Ilara understood instinctively that the vault demanded moral judgment as well as skill. The trials were not complete until they had proven themselves worthy not only of understanding, but of applying it responsibly. Kale turned to Ilara. "We have to think about what this knowledge means. It's not just for us. It could change everything." Ilara nodded, determination shining in her eyes. "We'll figure it out. Together." The vault pulsed once more, and a final pathway opened, leading to a chamber bathed in soft white light. Here the energy was calmer, less reactive, almost welcoming. Kyle and Ilara stepped inside, feeling a sense of completion, but also anticipation. The journey through the vault had tested every part of them, their courage, their intelligence, their adaptability, and their moral compass. They had faced challenges that no other species could have navigated so successfully. As they stood in the final chamber, Kyle realized something important. The vault had been waiting for humans. Not because humans were the strongest or the fastest, but because they were uniquely capable of creativity, courage, and moral judgment. The trials had been difficult, but humans had qualities that no other species in the Galactic Accord could match. Ilara looked around, sensing the same revelation. This changes everything," she said softly. "Humans are not just participants in the galaxy. We are something more." Kale smiled, feeling a mixture of exhaustion and exhilaration. "And it's just the beginning." Together, they approached the crystalline core once more, ready to absorb its final lessons. The vault had tested them, guided them, and acknowledged their presence. Now it would share its greatest gift, knowledge and insight that could shape the future of civilizations. They did not know exactly what awaited them outside the vault, but one thing was certain. Humans had proven themselves capable of facing the unknown, adapting, and surviving. The galaxy was full of mysteries, dangers, and challenges, but humans had the instincts, intellect, and courage to rise to them. The vault had revealed a truth that no one outside could yet understand. Humans were special, not because of brute strength or technology, but because of qualities that could not be measured: creativity, morality, courage, and the ability to work together. Kale and Ilara had walked straight to the heart of the Forbidden Vault and survived, proving what humans could do when faced with the impossible. Outside, Vera 9's sky shimmered with green and gold light. Within the vault, the final chambers glowed softly, acknowledging the success of the two humans. The journey was not over, but a milestone had been reached. Knowledge, power, and understanding lay within their grasp, tempered by responsibility and human judgment. For Kale and Ilara, the future was uncertain, but thrilling. Humans had always walked paths that others feared, faced dangers that others avoided, and discovered truths that others could not imagine. The Forbidden Vault was only the beginning. Together, they had proven that humans were more than explorers. They were a force capable of shaping the galaxy, guided by courage, intelligence, and an unyielding determination to face the unknown. And so, with the vault recognizing their presence and the lessons it had imparted, Kyle and Ilara prepared to take the next step. They had walked straight into the heart of the Forbidden Vault, faced trials no one else could endure, and emerged stronger, wiser, and more certain of what it meant to be human. The galaxy awaited. The final chamber of the Forbidden Vault glowed with a soft, golden light that seemed to pulse like a heartbeat. Kyle and Ilara stood at its center, surrounded by the energy and knowledge that the ancient civilization had left behind. The air hummed with possibility, a vibration that resonated in their bones, reminding them that the vault was alive and aware. Every step, every decision, every thought had been a test. Now they were at the end. Kale approached the crystalline core once more, feeling the energy respond to his presence. Unlike earlier challenges, there were no moving platforms, no shifting walls, no tests of reflex or logic. This was different. This was the vault's final message, the culmination of centuries of knowledge and foresight. The core seemed to communicate directly, not in words, but in understanding. It pulsed in harmony with their thoughts, revealing glimpses of what had been, what was, and what could be. Alara joined him, placing her hand lightly on the surface. The glow expanded, enveloping both of them in a warm radiance. They felt knowledge flow into them, not all at once, but in pieces, understandable and manageable. Histories of ancient civilizations, advanced technology, principles of energy manipulation, strategies for survival, and visions of potential futures poured into their minds. Each revelation was tempered with responsibility. The vault demanded that knowledge be used wisely for the benefit of life itself, not for personal gain or destruction. Kyle exhaled slowly. This is beyond anything we imagined, he said, his voice echoing faintly in the chamber. The vault didn't just store knowledge. It guided, it tested, it prepared us. It's been waiting for humans. Alara nodded, her eyes wide with wonder. We're not just explorers anymore. We're part of something much bigger, something the galaxy has never seen before. They spent hours absorbing the lessons of the vault, learning to understand energy flows that could power planets, histories that revealed how civilizations rose and fell, and techniques that could preserve life and knowledge across millennia. The vault seemed to respond to their curiosity and restraint, offering more as long as they remained focused and respectful. Eventually, they understood the final truth. Humans had a unique combination of traits that the ancient civilization had predicted would allow them to thrive in the galaxy. Unlike other species, humans could adapt, improvise, and work together in ways that machines or even highly advanced aliens could not. Courage, creativity, and moral judgment, qualities often underestimated, made humans uniquely capable of facing the unknown. Kale looked at Alara. We have to get this knowledge out, not just for us, but for everyone, humanity. The Galactic Accord, anyone willing to learn and use it wisely. Alara agreed. But we must be careful. The vault warned us. Misusing this knowledge could destroy more than just ourselves. It could threaten entire worlds. Together, they studied the vault's holographic interfaces, noting which pieces of knowledge could be safely shared and which required caution. They discovered that some technologies could improve life across planets, enhance communication and exploration, and solve problems that had plagued civilizations for centuries. Other knowledge, left as warnings, was dangerous in the wrong hands, capable of destabilizing entire systems. As they prepared to leave the chamber, the vault pulsed gently, almost as if it were approving of their choices. Kyle felt a subtle sense of accomplishment, not for himself, but for humanity. Humans had walked into the unknown and succeeded where others might have failed. They had proven that courage, intellect, and moral responsibility were qualities worth cultivating. The journey back through the vault was easier. The trials no longer tested them, they seemed to guide them, recognizing that they had passed the ultimate challenges. Platforms moved predictably, pathways opened naturally, and the energy fields responded smoothly to their presence. It was as if the vault itself acknowledged their worth, easing their path out into the world beyond. Outside, the light of Vera 9 was fading into night, casting the alien landscape in soft shades of green and gold. The ruins looked calm, almost welcoming now, though they held centuries of mystery and danger within their walls. Kyle and Ilara emerged from the vault, carrying not only knowledge, but a renewed understanding of what it meant to be human. They paused for a moment, looking at each other. Kyle smiled. "We made it," he said quietly. "I wasn't lost after all. I just found something extraordinary." Ilara returned the smile. "And now we have to make sure it isn't lost again. We have a responsibility, Kale, not just to ourselves, but to everyone who can benefit from what we've learned." The Galactic Accord's monitoring stations had been watching, though they did not fully understand what the humans had accomplished. When Kale and Ilara transmitted their findings, the alien species of the Accord were astonished. They had expected humans to be resourceful, perhaps daring, but nothing could have prepared them for the full extent of what Kyle and Ilara had discovered. The knowledge from the Forbidden Vault promised to change the balance of understanding across the galaxy. Leaders of the Accord convened to discuss the revelations. Debates were long and tense. Some species feared the power humans now wielded. Others were fascinated, eager to learn and collaborate. Kale and Ilara advocated for caution and shared responsibility, emphasizing that the Vault's knowledge was a gift, but also a test of morality. Humanity's approach, focused on cooperation and careful application, impressed even the most skeptical members. Back on Vera 9, Kale and Ilara explored the outer ruins one last time. They documented everything they could, carefully recording knowledge that could be shared without risking harm. They discovered relics, tools, and texts that would enrich scientific understanding for generations. Yet the most valuable discoveries were not physical objects. They were the lessons the Vault had taught them about human ingenuity, courage, and resilience. Ilara paused near a cliff, looking at the glowing horizon. "Kale, do you realize what this means? Humans aren't just survivors. We're capable of shaping the galaxy in ways no one else could, and we've only just begun." Kale nodded, gazing at the stars beginning to appear above Vera 9. "I know. We've proven that humans can face the unknown, adapt, and succeed. And the Vault, it chose us. It saw something in humanity that no other species could show. We can't squander that." They spent the night under the alien sky, sharing thoughts and plans. The stars twinkled as if acknowledging their presence, distant and mysterious, yet full of possibility. Kale and Ilara discussed how to responsibly share the Vault's knowledge, how to ensure humanity remained true to the values that had allowed them to succeed. They realized that exploration was not just about discovery, it was about wisdom, judgment, and understanding the consequences of every action. The next morning, Kale and Ilara activated communication devices, sending carefully crafted transmissions to the Galactic Accord. They shared enough to demonstrate humanity's achievements and potential, while withholding the most dangerous secrets until safeguards could be established. The response was immediate. Messages of astonishment, respect, and cautious admiration flooded in. Aliens who had once doubted humans now saw them as a force to be reckoned with, not through strength or aggression, but through intelligence, adaptability, and moral responsibility. Kale looked at Ilara. "We've done more than survive, Ilara. We've shown what humans are capable of. This is just the beginning." Ilara smiled, feeling a sense of pride and determination. "Yes. And the Vault isn't finished with us yet. We've learned so much, but there's more to discover. Humanity has a place among the stars, and we have to make it count." As they prepared to leave Vera 9, Kyle and Ilara felt a profound connection to the ancient civilization that had created the Vault. It was as if the creators had anticipated humanity, predicting that one day humans would rise to meet challenges no one else could. The Vault had not only tested them, but had prepared them to be leaders, innovators, and guardians of knowledge. Their return journey to the human outpost was quiet, but full of anticipation. Every step reminded them that humans were no longer ordinary explorers. They were pioneers in a galaxy that was suddenly much larger and more complex than they had imagined. They carried with them not only technology and knowledge, but a renewed belief in human potential. When they finally returned, the human team greeted them with relief and admiration. Kale and Alara shared what they could, teaching others how to navigate challenges, approach unknown civilizations, and respect the responsibilities that came with advanced knowledge. The lessons from the vault were not just scientific, they were moral and philosophical, guiding humanity toward a future that balanced exploration, curiosity, and ethical responsibility. The Galactic Accord formally recognized Kale and Alara's achievement. Humans were no longer seen as inexperienced newcomers, but as a species with unique qualities capable of shaping the galaxy. Alliances were strengthened, and collaboration became possible on a scale never imagined before. Kale and Alara took a moment to themselves, standing on the observation deck of the human outpost, looking at the stars. "We've come a long way," Kale said softly. "From being considered reckless to becoming proof that humans can rise above any challenge." Alara nodded, feeling a quiet determination. "And the galaxy has only just begun to see what we're capable of. The vault was a test, but we passed. Now it's time to show the rest of the universe what humanity can do, responsibly, wisely, courageously." As night fell over Vera 9, the stars sparkled with endless possibility. Kale and Alara knew that humans had proven something extraordinary, not only to the galaxy but to themselves. The journey into the Forbidden Vault had changed them, had shown them the full extent of their courage, intelligence, and moral strength. Humanity was no longer just a participant in the galaxy. It was a force, capable of shaping the future, guided by values that no other species could replicate. The Forbidden Vault would remain a mystery for many, but its lessons were clear to those who had walked its halls. And Kale and Alara, standing side by side, felt the weight and honor of being the first humans to truly understand it. They had walked straight into the vault, faced every challenge, and emerged not only victorious but enlightened. The galaxy awaited, full of dangers, discoveries, and possibilities. And humanity, led by courage, intelligence, and moral responsibility, was ready to meet it. Kale and Alara looked at each other, a shared understanding passing between them. "This is only the beginning," Alara said. Kale nodded. "Yes, but we've proven that humans can face the impossible and succeed." And with that, they turned back toward the stars, ready to embrace humanity's place among them, knowing that whatever lay ahead, humans were ready to rise to the challenge.